So you would hear something like, look at what your cousin is doing. Why can't you do that? Why can't you be that person? And you would say to yourself, why are you comparing me to other people? To be honest, I don't exactly know how I want to start this video, but if you're watching this, you probably know what or have a general idea of what this video should be. And it has to do with the scars that our parents left on us when we were like children, essentially. This idea came up after I came back from an event. This event in question, it was about the youth and how they should be. It was essentially to give young people guidance, things to look to the future for, and the reasons why they're worthy of that. Everybody in that group had the opportunity to share something, and there was this one particular girl that was sharing her experience, and I found it very, very profound and impactful. And I think this was the reality of a lot of young people, specifically black people, black children, who were raised by the older generation, who were very strict, not opposed to like beating their children, things of that nature. So she started to explain what happened to her childhood. She went to school. She felt as if she wasn't worthy of any compliments that she was receiving. She felt like she was taking on a lot of responsibility for her age, primarily due to the fact that she was taking care of her younger siblings and nobody was basically taking care of her. She made a distinction between her parents, is that in private, her parents will treat her one way, but in public, they would treat her the complete opposite, essentially. She continued to explain how her home life, even though she was in a two-parent household, the way her parent treated her made her feel less than. So much so that she started to actually cut herself and started to have some self-deletion thoughts. She continued to go into it. She said that her parents, the words that they said to her, made her feel inferior and not worthy of discussion. And a common theme was that a child should stay in a child's place, and whenever adults are around, the child should just stay there, shut up, and not do anything. The child shouldn't have an opinion because he's a child, even though the children have some valid arguments, but when they try to ask questions about things that are happening to them, they're basically shut down, beat, and put into the ground, essentially. That made me want to talk about this because that event happening made me realize that there are a lot of young people out there, specifically black people or black children, who have this experience where their parents tell them they should essentially stay in a child's place. A child should be there, stay, and not heard. Anytime they have any type of disagreement, whenever you're trying to express like your thoughts and opinion on something, you're basically shut down, beat, and told to go sit in your corner. As I'm here thinking about all of these themes going through my head, something that came up that she also mentioned is that she was constantly compared to her peers, her cousins, her friends, basically people who were doing better than her. And something like that happened to, I would say, me and friends of mine, where they feel as if whatever is like for example, the child, me, whatever is hindering them from performing their best is now basically being amplified because they're also feeling like they're failing their parents in a way. They're failing at life even though they haven't done anything. So you would hear something like, look at what your cousin is doing. Why can't you do that? Why can't you be that person? And you would say to yourself, why are you comparing me to other people? You have no idea how much that messes with your confidence. And whenever you try to express that, they look you dead in your eye and say that you're just being childish, or you're just being um not even sensitive. It's just more like what you're talking about is essentially stupid. They look at you dead in your face and they say, whatever you're doing is stupid, right? And they wonder why sometimes you don't really talk to them, because if you talk to them, whatever you're trying to portray or convey, and even when, especially when you're younger, it's very difficult to articulate and like present your ideas to people in general, let alone your parents. So, on top of the fact that you are almost fearful of this person, you're trying to tell them something while at the same time not trying to sound disrespectful, even though any type of like counter to their points are seen as disrespectful, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I thought that was very, very interesting. The comparison, and how in your mind you're already feeling certain type of way, but that coming from a parent, a person who is an authority figure in your life, is kind of damaging, I feel. And I think they don't even realize it, because they don't sometimes they don't even process the things that happen to them. Sometimes it can actually express itself later on in life if you don't deal with it as anger and resentment to their parents, your grandparents. She was, as she continued to express what was happening in her life, she started to cry, and you could quite literally hear the pain in her voice. I've never seen anybody cry that much, especially talking about something that affected them in that way. Not saying I was emotionally detached, but like it affected me in a way, you know, because I grew up in a household like that. And whenever I was told that I shouldn't be expressing any type of feelings, I just like took it with a grain of salt. But in some degree, that kind of stunted me in a way where whenever I wanted to express something, the first thing that came to my mind was my parent, whether it be my mom or my dad, telling me that that is stupid. And that's another thing that they usually say, is that your opinions are stupid. But I think the reason why I heard her story and what actually happened to her is to realize that our parents were actually human beings. As children, we look up to our parents because they're our first real connection to the world, and we look to them for guidance and help. But the way they were raised, may be a lot worse than what they did to us, let's say. But I think at the end of the day, a lot of the pain that this caused, the self confidence, the self doubt, and wanting to end it because you do not feel worthy of being here for whatever reason. And another thing is that you don't feel like you could talk to them, which is a big one, which is unfortunate. You don't feel like you can actually talk to your parents, depending on which one, because they feel as if they already know the answer. So whenever you're trying to inquire about something serious, or you're trying to tell them something that is affecting you, they pretty much they just cut you off. They don't let you talk, and then you just get shut down. Now you get a situation where whenever something serious happens in a child's life, they fear coming towards you because of the repercussions. Repercussions like verbal, they put you down verbally. I told you so. Why are you so stupid? Yada yada yada. That's a really messed up thing coming from a parent. I'm just like realizing, like, you call your seed stupid or less than a human. But back to the point where I'm saying that they don't feel comfortable, so they seek that type of affirmation or like safety elsewhere. And the sad part about it is that the parent don't even know that the kid is suffering like this. And I think that that's why you would see the oldest in certain circumstances, like the older child, feel like they need to resent the mother or the parents because of the way they treat the youngest. This is a whole meme, by the way. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have seen it. It's essentially illustrating how the oldest child is treated versus the youngest, and the middle child is treated as well. Essentially, punishments that the older one would receive, the younger one don't receive as much, if at all. Like the kid could commit murder, the younger one, and the father or the mother would just allow them to get away with it, essentially. And you have to think, as the oldest child who was like basically beaten for existing, and that's the only form of punishment that they knew how to like discipline the kid. They felt a little bit of like resentment towards the mother or the father because they didn't treat them that way. I think all of this to say, what I'm trying to say is forgive your parents. If you hold resentment in general with people, the worst part about it is that they don't even know how much they hurt you. And they could just be living their lives and just going about their business while you're over there suffering. So it is important now, I would say, today, in the present moment, to forgive them, which is a big deal. You need to forgive them and let it go. And then do better with your people. That is all I want to say. I need to... What is it doing that, bro?